What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Tee It Up. I'm your host, Pierre, Pee-wee the Plug Andreessen. Today is probably the most highly anticipated episode we've had in the short history of Tee It Up. This is episode 30, which is perfect because 30 represents a couple legends, which is number one, Michael Beasley. Y'all thought I was going to say Steph Curry. And then secondly is Steph Curry. So we have another legend joining us, probably one of the greatest YouTubers of all time, king of the fourth quarter, also known as Kenny Beecham, Kenny for real, Kenny 2, my cousin. I don't think a lot of people knew that's my cousin. KB, how you feeling, man? Welcome to the show.
It's weird to hear you call me Kenny.
I know.
I can always tell how close I am with somebody by what they call me. And to hear you say Kenny, because I wasn't Kenny until I was like 22 years old. But I feel good, man. The last couple episodes been great. Of course, I was there when EJ and Pops popped on. And the Darrick episode was great. The Mike episode was great. And I'm excited to keep the momentum, man.
That I feel you with the Kenny thing because there's certain times when we're in the studio, and for people that don't know, we have obviously the cast of Numbers on the Board, me, KB, Mike, and Darrick. And then for most of the shows, it's Christian and Austin with us. And it's just that six is like the team. Like we have a bigger team, obviously, but on a day-to-day basis when we're performing and doing the content, that's our unit. And because everybody is so used to calling you Kenny in this element, in this world, there's a couple of times where Austin or Christian will refer to you as KB. And it'll throw me off because I'm like, oh, man, they call him KB. Like that's a family type of name. So I feel you on that. The first thing I want to kind of get to is your impression of everybody. That's been like a burning fire question since I've asked, I think, Mike first. I want to know your first impression of Mike and Darrick. Obviously not of me because our first impression goes way long ago. But the reason I'm very excited to hear yours is because, number one, Darrick is an exaggerator. That's like known information. And Mike isn't as detailed as you. So I feel like I'm going to really get that full story. Yeah. You're going to pinpoint, remember. So break it down for us. When you met them, first impression, and all of the details, please.
Yeah, I think that I don't really remember the Darrick one. I think that my first memory of Darrick, we had already been friends for a little bit. Like I don't remember exactly when it happened. If I had to guess, it was mostly through basketball, obviously. So it had to be through practice or probably through Mike, honestly, because there wasn't a lot of people that was on A team that I was friends with. But since Mike was best friends with Darrick, then that's how we became friends. But the Mike first impression is crazy, by the way. Like I remember I was with D'Angelo, another one of our friends from back in high school, and me and D'Angelo went to 8th grade together. So we hooped together, yada, yada, yada. We're leaving lunch, and he talking to D'Angelo, and he looked D'Angelo dead in his face and asked, can he hoop? Talking about me like I'm not right there. And I think D'Angelo was like, oh, yeah, he decent. He definitely gonna make the team. And I remember thinking like, that is a weird way to talk to somebody. You know, like there's never been a world where somebody was directly in front of me and I didn't address them while talking about them. But that was what Mike did. And obviously went through practice and everything, and we both make the team. And that's when me and Mike become close, right? Because we're teammates and eventually become starters together, yada, yada, yada. And then Xbox obviously takes our friendship from just being at school to being, you know, what we are today. But Darrick, man, it's a tough one to pinpoint. We used to go to like the library, which is across the street from our school, like after practice or right on a game day. We didn't want to go all the way home. Game was at 5. We get out at 3. So we just go to the library. And what people see at home about Darrick being a character, I swear to you, he is the most interesting person I have ever met. And it has always been that way. We would be in the library and I like he had this big ass Adidas bag, one of them bags where he had shoes, he had books. And I swear to you, P, there was a time where he was pulling out his book. Like we had got some sub sandwich place. It was either Potbelly or Subway, whatever, delivered to the library. And Darrick didn't get nothing. He's like, you know, D-Mill's a big dude. You don't want nothing to eat. And he's like, no, I'm good. I got something in my bag. P, when I tell you, he took out books, he took out a pair of D Roses, and at the bottom of that was a sandwich that was squished all like a peanut butter and jelly that you could not see the peanut butter or the jelly. And I'm like, oh, this dude right here is a whole different monster. And like you only see on the show, for the people at home, a fraction of what Darrick was. Like he's obviously matured. He's a dad. He's a fiance, and he's an adult now. But as a high school, he was wild, man. So I got so many memories of us being at the library or of us walking around school and him trying to hit on girls, knowing he knew that he didn't really have a chance, but it was like, I don't know, it was a confidence thing for him. He's like, I'm like, out of all of us, he was the one that was willing to put himself out there to some girl. And it never really it never really worked, but it was real life comedy. And for us to grow this brand and grow the show, and even like we still get stories like from last episode that we've never heard before. It's kind of a legendary thing, man. So those are my first impressions. And even just seeing Mike's progression as a person throughout these last 15 years of us being friends is crazy. When he was on your show a few weeks ago, him saying that, like, I kind of wish my girlfriend would walk in the door and say she pregnant. I'm like, what? Mike? Mike? My priorities not straight, Mike. My 2K bill got to be perfect. Mike talking about fatherhood. That shit is crazy, man.
It's super crazy. I want to stay there. Like, you were super successful. Again, I don't say that because you're my cousin, but one of the greatest YouTubers of all time. And didn't just stop at the YouTube thing. Obviously, we got into the podcast lane, and we used to be just like a cool podcast that like people was kind of hip to and kind of early to, and we had our own little niche thing. And then this has kind of turned into what it is. And then outside of the podcast, you've created Enjoy Basketball, which just became a brand and a business in itself. And so there's no telling where else you're going to go. I say all that to say, like, you're living your dream. And I know people who live their dream ain't looking back at high school, right? There's no reason to really be looking back. But I look at somebody like you in high school. It was important for all of us, but you're also married to your high school sweetheart. You have created a business and a job that has changed lives of some of your closest friends. You also get to work with me. Not too many people get to work with like a family member, and a family member. We had already been close. But like, I look at those years, and you just said it, like, it's crazy to see how Mike is transformed, and even Darrick, even yourself and myself, your wife, 15 years. It's like, that's really crazy to have known people or like have these relationships that have been 15 years long, and to see what they've kind of turned into. Mm-hmm. How crazy is that when you actually reflect on it, though? Like, there couldn't have been any chance when you were in high school 15 years ago that you thought you would be doing anything business related with Darrick or Mike, or, you know what I mean? Like, how does that make you feel to like think about your life in that sense?
It's pretty surreal. It's one of those things, like, people ask me all the time, like, what was high school like for you? And I was like, just a thing. I was not somebody that you probably remember was in your class if I was in your class. Like, you know me, I'm mostly an introverted guy. It's something about the camera, it's something about the performance aspect that kind of gets me out of that shell. But for us to be able to build a lot of that from high school friendships is kind of insane. Because when me and Mike, our freshman year, we went to Statesville Horror Prison. It was like a house, a horror house or whatever. And my dad is driving us. We're on our way home. And my dad he has to be the bearer of bad news, even when it's unnecessary. And he said something to Mike that's like, yeah, y'all enjoy these 4 years, because after this, y'all probably not going to be friends no more. Like, just assuming we're all going to go off to college, we're going to build families, and then we just won't have time to be friends. Obviously, that's not the case, right? We built this company and this show. So it is crazy, because actually I talked to Suzanne about this recently. That it's kind of a blessing and a curse that basically since high school, our lives have been within like a 15-mile radius, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us still live relatively close to where we grew up. I mean, we moved around a little bit. Like, I lived in fucking close to Aurora. I've lived close to Romeoville, but for the most part, we stayed where we grew up and like put our roots here. So it is kind of weird to be going to, like the local Marianos and be like, we graduated together. Like, it's so many people that are from this community that are still in this community. And yeah, it's something that I don't think about often. Like, I think one of my biggest downfalls as a creator and as a person is that I'm very bad at like predicting or seeing the future. Like, when people say, what do you want to be in 5 years? I never have an answer. I'm like, shit, I'm trying to get to tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it's somewhat of a blessing on the come up, because you just grind. Oh, this video did well. Okay, now I got to work on the next one. But we've had this conversation before. Because of that, it's hard for me to look forward, but also to look back. where like the timeline that we've had as a podcast, it feel like one straight year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It feel like we just were in the apartments doing it. It feel like we were just in the basement and we were just in the Downers Grove studio with HOH. And it's hard to reflect and it's hard to look in the future for me.
What, I don't even want to call it advice, but what would you say to the people that are the next generation after, I don't even say after us, we're kind of getting old. I guess that generation would be like EJ, who are now going to college. But the kids that are in high school right now that are getting that same information, and that's why this is going to be not a tough interview, but you already jumped to where I was going. I was told the same thing countless times. All of my friends were told the same thing. This whole thing that your dad was saying, where like high school, you're going to, man, you're not going to know your friends. Like y'all close now, but you know, after high school, y'all barely go. You might know one of your friends might stick around, and that may be it. But and on a certain level, they were right. Like there's a lot of people who I thought were my friends, and they didn't do anything dirty or bad to me, but they were more acquaintances. When you're that young, you don't know how to like divide the two. But I still have a lot of my close friends. Like my circle from middle school through high school to now is still my circle. And I think y'all circle is the same way when we look at like the group chat or who we hang out with, like for fantasy football and whatnot. How would you talk to a kid, or like, you know, you're a father, when your kids get to that high school level, what type of advice or gems would you give them on maneuvering with trying to have the sense of knowing that, yeah, all of the 35 people or the 50 people that you text or communicate with on social media, all of them, yeah, they won't be your friends when you, as soon as you graduate, even. Like there's people that I was thinking we was friends, and as soon as we graduated, we never really talked again. But there is this side where you could have a high school sweetheart. Like that's a real thing. Your best friends in high school could be at your wedding, you know what I mean, as your groomsman. So like how would you communicate having that balance and that perspective to somebody that's entering that situation right now? Because we do have so much of our audience being those kids that are trying to navigate through this new high school life.
Yeah, I think that what my dad did, the intentions were right. I think the timing and the wording was wrong. Right? Like the reality is, yeah, that a lot of the friends that you have throughout high school and middle school won't be your friends when you get older. Like before we went to high school, I had built a friend group because I moved out to the burbs my 8th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a friend group then, but we got to high school, pretty much everybody from that. I haven't talked to any of those guys, you know, at all. So I think it's important to kind of realize, and people, you know, have the realization that, yeah, most of the people that you're talking to right now in high school won't be your friends, and that can be okay. Right? That can completely be okay. Hell, some of our closest friends, we don't really see that much more, that, you know, we that are in our friend group, that are in our fantasy football league. Not saying that we're not still homies, but like lives grow, people have kids, people move out of state, people go down to school. And so I think we all, or the people that are watching that are going through similar things, live for those 4 years, but after that, be okay with being able to say, oh, this relationship ain't exactly what it turned out to be, and that's completely okay. Right? Because I mean, if you're going down to going down to college, that's 4 years where you're probably just not going to be hanging out with your homie for high school that you hung out with every day. And I think it can be a blessing because it gives you an opportunity to see different perspectives. Right? Out of our friend group, only Mason went straight to like away for college
Yep.
after high school. And I would say that probably benefited him well because he has our friend group and he has another friend group. He has another friend group. He's probably seen and experienced more things than us who've kind of, again, lived in this 10-mile radius. And I think all of that is really fucking important. So be okay with the friends that you have now, but also realize that shit probably won't last forever. And that's cool too.
What is friendship to you? What's a good friend? What makes you a good friend? And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I think, kind of like what you mentioned earlier, it's hard to look forward and back when you're in the moment, when you are the person that's in front of the camera, when you are the person whose career is unfolding. But one thing that I've realized over the years since we did that tour back when we were through the wire with HOH, it didn't hit me for a long time how much of a representation of friendship we were. I knew we had certain elements and it made us different to be able to crack jokes and have these like inside jokes that the community is also inside or have the intel too. But like as we've grown and grown and grown, there's so many people who reach out via DM or when we do meet people at live events, and they talk about everything but the sports part. They
Yeah.
talk about the representation we have as four friends who they have been able to watch grow up too. Like when I
Yeah.
look at the first years of us to now, outside of the obvious, right? Like you and Darrick, our fathers, we're all in relationships. Everybody's pushing towards those family commitments and everything. But like just as individuals and the way we go about work and the way we think, the way we speak, the way we, articulate ourselves, it's kind of crazy. But what does all of that mean to you when you talk about friendship, being a good friend, being a better friend, and how has what we've created helped or educate you in certain areas as a friend?
Yeah, I think that for me, on the very minuscule base level, friendship for me is somebody that I care about their well-being deeper than, are they alive? Like, checking in with Mason or Terrence or, people that they don't know from our friend group, but like on the individual text, like, what's up, bro? You been good? Like, how's your mental health? So on and so forth. Yeah, a lot of us are fathers. When Darrick's daughter is hanging out at my house and playing, she is my kid while Darrick is not here. I treat her like my daughter. I will protect her with my life. Like, that's what friendship really is for me. And it really is about like caring about each other and keeping each other accountable more than anything. There are people that are not my friends that will say something and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, but I don't really care because it's not my friend. Now, if one of my homies said the same thing, I'm like, bro, let's pump the brakes. That's not something we should be saying that's not an opinion we should have. Let's talk this through, so on and so forth. So I look at y'all because it is very easy from somebody that has an influence on social media to lose the grounded nature of it all. You swipe through Instagram or Twitter and everybody's sucking you know what I'm saying? So it's like you need people in your life to be like, nah, that ain't it. And I do believe we have that. Now it's very rare that something like that happens in our friend group, right? I feel like we all are well-adjusted humans and like contribute to society. None of us are out here wilding. But if we were, I would hope that you, Darrick, Mike, and everybody in our friend group would be like, yeah, Kenny, that ain't exactly what you should be doing right now. You shouldn't do this. And caring about the well-being deeper than, is his heart still beating, is what friendship is to me. There are people in my life that like I won't call a friend, but let's say I don't go on Facebook, but like if you go on Facebook, we're like, oh, okay, that guy from this picture look like he getting married. Cool. That's it. That's the swipe. There's no congratulations. That's not a friendship to me. Well, like our guys, I mean, it ain't nothing I wouldn't do for my boys. Well, let me pause on that. It's obviously stuff I would do, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I care for my guys more than anything.
We talked about friendship. We talked about members of the podcast and everything. I kind of want to dive into you a little bit more and just getting to know Kenny Beecham. I feel like a lot of people know you as just King of the Fourth Quarter, the YouTuber, and they get what you give them, which is what you're supposed to do when you are a creator or somebody that has influence in the world or on the internet. Who is Kenny Beecham? Give us some origins.
Mhm.
I know some of this may feel like when you answer this, I know it sometimes may feel like it's redundant, but when I put out the tweet letting people know that you was coming on the show, there was a lot of people who I know that rock with us that like somebody was like, I still don't know how y'all are cousins. I must have missed it. And I'm like, you don't know. And that person is a viewer. So like there's stuff that we think is like super generic, and a lot of people don't know. So give us the origins. And also, I don't want to throw too much at you at once, but like what would the opening scene of a Kenny Beecham biopic look like? How would you
Mm.
how would you want that to start? We're about to tell the story of Kenny Beecham, who became king of the fourth quarter, created Enjoy Basketball. They had Through the Wire with his homies, and yeah, like how would you want that to?
That's a great question. All right, I'm gonna tackle it. Here's the quick synopsis of who I am. I am Kentrell Beecham, born October 4th, 1996, to Gayla Breland and Kenneth Beecham. And we stood on the west side of Chicago, and I lived there for the first 14 years of my life. And there was a big moment that changed the dynamic of my life, the trajectory of my life. Obviously, you know this, P, but before I moved out to the suburbs, my cousin Chris was killed in gun violence. Shook the family. Chris was a chess champion. He was a great kid, but the environment wasn't right. and he ended up joining doing some things he shouldn't have done, and eventually it cost him his life and everything. And that scared my mom to the core. Like, you know me, Pete. As a kid, I was a mama's boy. If my
Mhm.
mama wasn't there, I wasn't going. And she knows that, I know that. But because things were getting kind of scary on the west side of Chicago, my mom made the ultimate decision to say, hey, he's lived with me for 14 years, but this is all I can do, right? He needs someone to teach him how to be a man. And my dad was living out here in the suburbs. And she decided, we're going to let him move with his dad and let him raise him from here. And I think if you're talking about the biopic aspect, that is the moment. That is the opening scene. I remember I'm playing a basketball game. I remember who was on the court. Rest in peace, Keon. Shout out to Caprice. We're on the court, and I watched my dad walk in, and my mom is like, she had been anxious since I saw her, but I didn't really think much of it. I'm trying to play this game. Shout out to Kyron, who was at this game too.
Mm.
Um, and I had checked out. I don't remember if it was first quarter, second quarter. Either way, I checked out, and I see my dad reading a note that my mom had gave him. And again, I'm trying to focus on the game, but I'm also recognizing that my dad looks stressed, my mom looks stressed, and something's got to be going on. And ultimately, that was the catalyst of my mom saying, "Take him. There's not much else I can really do." And if we're opening up this biopic, that is the moment that comes to mind. And then it shifts to, my dad was still working at Kemp's Milk. I don't know if you remember, my dad used to just
I
drive
don't.
milk around the city and deliver them to schools, like the little cartons.
Right. Yeah.
He got off work one day, and I don't want to say he stole, but he borrowed the Kemp's truck to move me out of Nana's house.
Ah.
Right? We loaded the bed, the TV, the dresser. And I remember when we got into his apartment, we were moving it back into the house, and everything was cold as hell because it was in the back of the milk truck.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like my bed is freezing cold. But like that was a huge turning point, and it changed my perspective on everything. You know, my first 14 years of my life, I shit you not, P, the only people that weren't of color that I've ever seen in person were teachers. The
Hmm.
school I went to was 98% black, and the other 2% was Hispanic. And then it's a culture shock when I move out here, when there's 3 black people in my 8th grade class. There's
Yeah.
3 of us. It's me, Isaac, and D'Angelo.
Right.
Like, so it was a full culture shock. And then I had to figure out who I was as a person, all while trying to figure out, you know, how do I become friends with people? I had never had to create friendships because I had been at the same school since kindergarten. Me, Kyron, Kenneth, all of these guys, we just been in the same class for 8 years. We didn't have to learn how to become friends with people. So I get out there 8th grade. I go to Gower Middle for that year, and again, big culture shock. And I'm thinking in my head for a long time of this is just what it's going to be. I'm going to be the only black person in class for 90% of my classes, until we played against Burr Ridge Middle School, and the whole team was black.
Yep.
And they're like, these are feeder schools to high school. I'm like, okay, bet. You know, like him right there, the big homie who ended up being Darrick, we going to be in the same class one day. So eventually we get to high school, and then, yeah, pretty much all of the people that I had met at Gower that were my friends, again, didn't become friends because I found a different friend group, a friend group that I felt more in tune with. And that's the friend group that we have now. And along this journey, I started YouTube. And the rest is really history, man. Like when I started YouTube, it wasn't a job. Like nobody was doing it full time, right? Even the biggest channel in the world at the time, which was like Smosh, they weren't getting paid on their content. Everybody just did it out of the love of the game.
Mm.
And eventually I got my first YouTube check. I will not forget. It was like $212. And I was like, oh snap. This right here might be it. And I just continued to grow and grow and grow. And then I tried to become more business savvy, start a brand, start a company. And yeah, we're here now.
First and foremost, thank you for that. That was beautiful. I feel like a lot of times you ask guests and you interview people, and they don't give you that. So you just gave me an outline, a skeleton, and we can attack some of these things. The first thing I want to attack is the moving part. Obviously, like you said, I'm aware of the whole moving thing. That's the first time I've ever heard all of that, though.
Mhm.
Everything after the Chris situation. Rest in peace to Chris. I'll never forget when we went to that White Sox game. I still can
Yeah.
remember. He had the red Chuck Taylors on and everything. Like that day is engraved in my brain. But the whole at the basketball game, your dad reading the note. This is my first time hearing all of that. Even putting the stuff in the back of the milk truck. What is going on in your brain? I know this is what your mom wants to do. Obviously, your
Yeah.
dad has always been in your life. Your dad wasn't going to deny that at all. And I think subtly, if I can remember, I feel like when I used to see you or be around your dad, he would say little shit like that. And I think maybe all dads say that. My dad used to say that as well. Like, man, you should move with me, or I want you to live with me. And, because we all grew up as mama's boys, it's
Mhm.
almost like saying, it's almost like I don't know, like I want $1,000,000. It's like you may want it, but again, we mama's boys, so it never really materialized typically. But you are the rare situation where it actually happened. What was you at all? Not that it mattered, because we also come from Black families and households where you ain't really got much input or say. But like, is there any anxiousness in you? Are you aware of the difference? Are you aware of the type of area that your dad lives in? Do you know you're about to go to a predominantly white school? If you know it, when you found out, how are you adjusting? And when you actually got there and they became hurdles for you, how did you maneuver and find comfort, if you did, in those situations early on when you first got out to the suburbs?
Yeah, I mean, when Chris was killed in December, and I don't know if you remember this, P, from December to maybe June of the next year, I didn't go outside. I was scared to my core because my big cousin, who was an amazing cousin, and who, when I go to Grandma Norma house, we just play chess all day.
Mm-hmm.
He was a victim. So if he
Right.
can be a victim, I can be a victim. This is the mindset of somebody at this point. I'm 13 years old. So I didn't go outside. So when the opportunity came to move with my dad, of course I'm fearful of just a new opportunity stuff. But in my mind, it's the suburbs. So the likelihood of me becoming again a victim of anything goes down dramatically. So I'm kind of hype about it all, recognizing that like obviously my relationships with my mom are going to shift. My relationship with my older sister, who we've been living in the same house forever, is going to shift. But I was excited for it. I do remember my dad telling me like, on the drive over, like this really is about to be different. Now, obviously, I've been to my dad's house. I spent every weekend there, so it's not like this is a whole new environment. But when I spent the weekend there, I didn't go hang out with people. I was hanging out with my dad. Like we would play Call of Duty, we would play 2K in the front room, but I wasn't out going to the park or nothing. And I remember the drive over. He was like, "Yeah, man, in our complex," because he had been living there for like 2 years at this point. He's like, it's only like one or two other Black families. And like, you have to kind of figure out how to adjust. He was like, I don't want you to change who you are, obviously, because you're Control Beecham and everything, but it will be different where you're going to have more wiggle room. Being a mama's boy in my mind, or with my mom, meant that I ain't have a lot of wiggle room to do what I want, right? I would go down to Amundsen Park, which is down the hill. We had to be in at a certain time, but I couldn't do that by myself. I needed our cousins, Kayla or Kyla, with us. I needed Kyron. I needed Rail from across the street. I couldn't do nothing by myself. It had to be at least two people. And then when I got with my dad, there was no restrictions. Like we tell that story about like when we almost got arrested from the Denny's. I'm like a sophomore in high school right there with no curfew. Like I like my dad, he cared obviously, but he also trusted me enough to know that like this guy is good at problem solving and he won't do nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He was half right. Um, so it was just different, right? It was just different. And my dad tells a story of watching me walk to the bus stop, and I forget this kid's name, and I wish I remember it. That like as I'm walking out of the building, he's walking out of his building across. I think I'm in building 14, he's in building 12. And we just like he sparks a conversation with me. And then I think my dad from that moment was like, oh, he gonna be okay. Like just because somebody acknowledged his existence right there. And then I get to the school, and then again, rest in peace, Joey Cassiopo. He took all the nervousness that I had from being in a new environment, being in a new school. Joey changed all of that. Because the moment I got off the bus, he was like, "You're Contrell, right? Come on, well, I got to introduce you to some people." I had a friend group right there. Didn't even have to do anything because Joey
Yeah.
was just cool. And that was D'Angelo, that was Stefan, who again we end up hooping together, and a few other people who some of them I don't even remember what their names were. But like I didn't have to again work for a friend group because Joey was like, oh snap, there's another Black guy. I think that's what his mindset was. There's another Black guy in the school. We want all the Black guys in the friend group. Um,
Is
yeah.
was Joey himself was not Black?
No.
Okay.
Joey was at that point in time, he was like this real chubby guy with super long curly hair. He was a drum, like not an emo drummer, a rock drummer, boom, 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 boom. But he just, I don't know, he was very opening and like a lot of my first memories as in that class or moving out here was at Joey's house, like hanging out in Joey's backyard, or um, he was in love with airsoft guns, and everybody else was too. So damn it, we shooting airsoft guns at each other all of a sudden. Um, but he lightened the load, and then of course basketball season starts, and that's where things change, because once you're part of a team of any aspect, you just become friends with people on the team.
Mhm. Smooth and sailing. So you go from there, and what is that adjustment like then going from, because I'm sure when you were around the Gower kids for that 1 year, y'all was hanging out. It was different, but you adjusted. Like you said, you're chilling with somebody who's a drummer and whatnot. So you probably start to pick up on some things that ain't the typical thing, and then now, or the typical stuff you're into, and then now you get thrown right back into Hinsdale South, which is again a different world from Gower. So how do you readjust or kind of connect with
Mhm.
something that was more similar to your upbringing? Because yeah, when you describe Gower, it is the opposite of what we went through at Burr
Yeah.
Ridge. And it's funny because I always tell this story. Burr Ridge is this middle school that's in the middle of one of the richest neighborhoods or areas in Illinois, period. So like our school is across the street from, like, there's one thing to see $1 million home, $2 million. Burr Ridge has the 5, 7, 11, $12 million homes. And I went there for years, graduated, go to high school. When I got to high school, I was I was a people's person. So I would go and hang out, and I would go to parties in Burr Ridge and be like, wait, you live across the street from Burr Ridge, but you didn't go to school with us. And you would have that awkward conversation of somebody explaining how their parents made them go to a school further away because of the amount of minorities and blacks that controlled the Burr Ridge population school. So you were one of the people that went to the school that people were getting sent down to.
Mhm.
But how did you reconnect once you had that influx of the Burr Ridge and other schools, if you needed to readjust or
Yeah.
reconnect?
Well, so when I was at Gower, the group that I was in the friend group with, they knew people from all over the different schools. So the Eisenhowers, so on and so forth. So we had all had like multiple like parties. So some of the people from these other schools I knew just by hanging out with before. And I remember freshman year, first period, Mr. Wolf's class, um, Malik Gordon was in that class. And I had known Malik because we had been at a few parties together. So it
Okay.
wasn't like I was walking into high school knowing nobody at all other than the Gower people. And of course he hooped, I hooped. And that was enough for me to like to ease it all. Obviously, there's so much stress going from middle school to high school. You
Yeah.
got a bigger school classes. You got to figure out when you go to your locker versus making it to the next period or whatever. So me and Malik were pretty close for that first year of high school, because we had that class together, and also in that class, first period, Mr. Wolf math class was my wife. Like Suzanne was in that class. So it's like kind of like some movie shit. There's like first period, first class of high school, the sweethearts meet each other. But um it wasn't really that much adjustment, honestly, man. Because like basketball season happens when like a month after high school starts.
Yup.
So I basically have a month, and then boom, I'm here with all of the guys that also love basketball, and now all of my friends are going to be from here because we're together after practice every single day or during practice, and then road games. We're in so it wasn't bad at all, man. Like I said, I was just a guy in high school, like um never did anything other than hoop for 2 years. Never joined any other club. Wanted to play baseball. Was pretty good at baseball growing up, but never did.
Being just a guy, chilling. We could even move up. Let's just say junior year. What
Mhm.
what year did you start YouTube? Were you still in high school? Or was it right after you graduated?
I was in seventh grade. My first YouTube video is 2010.
Okay, so when are you taking this shit serious? Like, when
After
did
high
you get that
school.
first check?
After high school. Yeah.
So as a junior, I didn't realize your first video was in 7th grade. But as a junior, um, where's your head? Like, what are you trying to be? What are you doing? Are you expecting? Do you have a college you want to go to? Are you just like, yeah? What are your
Um,
aspirations as
I
this
was
16?
lost, P. I ain't had nothing, bro.
Perfect, perfect.
I didn't
Yes.
have nothing, man. Like the furthest I got to thinking about life outside of YouTube was like when I tore my shoulder, I really did like my physical therapist. And for a while, she had convinced me that that should be the route that I go down. And then she told me it's 4 years of college and 3 years after that. I said, fuck that.
Hell no.
I'm not doing it. So I wanted to do that for some time. And I was working at the vitamin shop from down the street, and that job for I was there from 17 to 20. That job for a 17-year-old was fucking amazing. I was making like 1850,
Oh
and
wow.
that was yeah, that's like over a decade ago. So 1850 was a lot of money. We got like quarterly bonuses. You got commission on certain things. So like I was the youngest person working that. Everybody else was like in their 30s and 40s. Like it was a
Low
real
key
job.
store too, so you don't have to worry about friends coming and
Hey,
being embarrassed.
I know a lot of my friends' parents from working that store because they would come through and like it was so perfect situation because the store closed at 8 every night. So it wasn't like long shifts. And there were, I swear to you, Pete, there were some days where we saw like 12 customers total. And I'm like, this is so amazing. But
So yeah.
I was working that. And then again doing YouTube, I would work that to 8 o'clock. This is like right after high school. So we would go to COD. I would get out of COD at like 2. I would work from 3 to 8 and do that over and over. Then from 8 to whatever, I'm making YouTube videos for the next day. And eventually things start to pop off a little bit. And I remember seeing, because YouTube checks, this revenue comes in at the end of every month. So I
Mhm.
get a check at the end of the month from YouTube, and I'm also getting my quarter or my biweekly check from Fruitful Yield. And I'm like, hey man, they getting close. And I told my dad, like, hey man, I might have to quit this store. And he thought I was BSing. I'm like, okay, just waste some time. And then eventually the checks ended up being the exact same. And I'm
Mhm.
like, obviously it probably made more sense to do both to just have double the money. But in my mind, if I just focus on this YouTube thing full time while also going to school, then like, I was doing videos at that point every other day. But if I can do a video every single day, pops, these checks are gonna keep going. And again, my dad was very trusting of me, even though he didn't believe in the YouTube thing. He was like, okay, you can quit the vitamin shop as long as you stay in school. Say
Mhm.
less. And then it started to blow up. I just checked this a couple days ago. This is 2017. January 2017, my YouTube check for that month was $5,500. And I'm like, oh shit. Like this is
That's
whoo. And then
yeah.
a month later,
How old are you in
I'm
2017?
2017, I am 20. I'm 20. And this is where I get that check. And I'm like showing my dad, like, hey man. And then a month later, I decided to move out. It was the craziest decision somebody can make. Like I remember on the podcast recently, I was like, yeah, I may have had so-and-so in the bank when I moved out. No, I did not. It was a leap of faith. And
Mhm.
then the month after that, after I moved out, it went from 5.5 to 7.5 to 12 to even more. So now it's no longer a leap of faith, baby. This is what I'm doing. And again, I had promised my dad that I was going to at least finish my what's the 2-year college degree? Associate's degree.
Associates, yep.
And I scraped through that last semester, and then that was it. I had never turned back from there.
That is yes, like that happened so much faster than I processed in like real time.
Mhm.
I remember when you moved, and it didn't seem like just a fast thing, but even the whole YouTube thing. I remember even when we started doing the podcast, I didn't register who you were because you were just you're my cousin. So I remember seeing your videos for the first time. This was me and Bub was living together, and we had like a little theater, and I would put it on, and we would laugh like, "Look at KB like on YouTube, like this is funny." But I don't think we were. I think we were too ignorant to like look at subscribers and views and comments. For all we know, that shit may have had 60,000 views, but we were just
Yeah.
infatuated with the fact that we could pull you up and see what you were doing, and we would just be laughing and this is crazy. Like look at KB. Um, so by the time we started to do the podcast, I knew you did YouTube, but I didn't know how big it was
Mhm.
until we started the podcast. And then you see like I started to really take Twitter serious and everything, and like I would see the difference in like the tweets. When you tweet, it go crazy and everything like that. And then the rest was kind of history. At some point there, you kind of just blew, like Really,
Yeah,
really, really blew up.
it happened so fast, man. It really did happen so fast. Well, I think when we started the pod, I had a quarter of a million subscribers, which nowadays don't feel like a lot, but at that time, that was a ton of subscribers, space,
Mhm.
especially for the niche that I was in the basketball space.
Yeah.
So it was weird. Like there was a long time where being a YouTuber or doing YouTube content was an embarrassing feat for me. Where like I didn't show my face on YouTube until I had graduated high school.
Hmm.
I didn't go, nobody knew Kenny. It was Extra Ree and it was King of the Fourth
Yeah.
Quarter. Nobody knew my real name because it was like an embarrassing part to be like, what's up, guys? Welcome to the YouTube video. Like that was nowadays it's completely normal. Everybody wants to be a creator, everybody wants to be an influencer. But at that time, I was like, are people gonna judge me if they find this video? And then eventually people did. You go to my history, a lot of these videos are unlisted now, but there's a huge gap. And like for like 6 months, I didn't upload like my junior year of high school because somebody from high school found my videos. They recognized the
Wow.
voice. They're not even a name. They recognized the voice. His name was oh my God, what was his? It started with a J. Either way, he found my videos. And like I was like, oh no, that ain't me, bro. Nah. But I mean, obviously it was, and I didn't upload for 6 months because I was afraid that people were gonna notice and know who I was. And um one of the best decisions I ever made was going back to create. Like, who the hell knows where life is if I let that one interaction derail me from making content? But it almost happened.
Can you go back just a little bit and really, really, as detailed as you can, give us everything you're feeling when you feel stuck? You said like when you were 17 or whatnot, YouTube didn't look like you were doing it because you loved it and it was fun to you, but you didn't know it was going to be a situation that you were going to be able to quit a job. The reason I want to sit there is because like I love that we have a platform and we can use it to like give out information and game and everything. But one of the toughest times for me in my life was that area. I remember graduating and I wasn't going away to college. I didn't go away to college. And like when the next school year rolled around, one of my best friends, Ontario, is a year younger than me. So he went back to high school. And then it felt like everybody that graduated with me, for whatever reason, it's just the way the brain works. It felt like everybody was taking off. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's like everybody had everything figured out besides me. And I remember having a little panic at 18, 19, feeling like lost and not knowing what I'm going to do. And so I love when we have people like yourself that are super successful can like pinpoint that time, because what I realized once were able to create a platform is that everybody at some point, unless you're fucking, I don't know, just a rich teenager, everybody goes through that moment of panic where it feels like the rest of your peers are figuring things out and they're moving on with life, and people are 20 and getting pregnant and married and getting their career started, and you're like, fuck, I'm still in a basement. What was it for you, and how are you navigating it from a mental standpoint? Because this situation and this moment in life, it can make people, but it also can break you. When I think about that time, like it could get dark if you're not
Mhm.
strong enough or you don't have enough information to realize that this is what everybody else is going through as well.
Yeah,
Especially now because these kids have social media. It wasn't that
yeah,
big of a deal back then for us, but people are showing you this lifestyle that ain't really theirs, and now it really doubles up on you.
for sure. Yeah, social media is like I don't know, it's like a plague in a sense because yeah, you see a 20-year-old that's a Twitch streamer with a Lamborghini, and you're 20 and trying to figure life out, and you would think that you're failing because he's doing so well, and that's just not the case. Like I think that cliches are cliches for a reason because in a lot of the cases it's real. So when people say life, people run their life at a different pace, like that's a cliche, but it's also very, very real. It's very, very true. And you know me, P, I'm a perennial trier of shit. I
Mm-hmm.
will try a hobby for a month and figure out if I like it. So even if I didn't find this YouTube thing, I feel like I would have tried so many different things to figure out where my career was. And that's one thing. And for me right now, it's a luxury, right? To be able to have the time to try to collect Pokemon cards or to do this. But even as a shorty, I was doing the same thing, trying to figure out, oh, do I really love this game of basketball? Oh, am I an overall sports guy? Oh, do I want to be a physical therapist? Oh, my dad is a truck driver. Do I want to get a trade, go into trade school? Like everybody's life is completely different. And one of the best things I could tell people that are going through that, where they're questioning exactly who they are or exactly what they want to do, is A, don't look at social media. because that's like a huge aspect of it. But also recognize a lot of people don't have it figured out. I know I'm in my profession, but who I am as a person, I'm still figuring that shit out. I'm almost 30. I may never know. So it's completely okay. Especially if somehow you have a support system, right? Like, I moved out at about 20, but I know people that moved out when they were 28. And nowadays, that's completely okay because of the way the market is. That you should not feel shame if you're putting your best foot forward and things aren't necessarily materializing from it. All you can do is keep your head down and try to grind things out, find out who you are, find exactly what your passions are. And honestly speaking, majority of people don't get an opportunity to work their passions. Sometimes you can use your work to supplement your passions, right? So I hate to see that all the time, man, because I get that question a lot too. Like, how did you know? It's like I did it. It just happened, and it might happen to you, or maybe it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that you're a failure because it didn't happen to you. In this world of content, you can put your best foot for you. Like, I know there are creators out there that make videos 100 times better than mine, but may not have the platform to have people see it. Right. So it's not always about the quality of the stuff. Sometimes it's about luck. And I think that you have to match that luck with that hard work. Right. When my first video went viral, that was lucky. But I put my head down to make sure I was creating content and good content after that to make it so like I wasn't a one-hit wonder guy. You want to stay on this channel. I want you to come back tomorrow for a video that's similar but just as good. So just life is always ran at different paces, and it's completely okay.
Segueing off of like luck or stars aligning, perfect time, and knowing when to, execute. This is my first time asking you this. What the fuck made you do a podcast with us? Now that I think about it, seeing how your channel was doing, like you were in the midst of blowing up, just moved out. Podcasting was not a thing, especially independently, where like you can just get three of your homies and y'all could just do a podcast. Now I know how the podcast started. We would text it and everything like that, but like to go through with it and such a thing that was such an unknown when you already had something good going, and it was like it ain't like you're like let's really make it clear for the audience. It wasn't like the YouTube channel was plateauing.
Mm-hmm.
It was going. It was ascending in real time, even while we were doing the podcast. So when I sit back and think of it, I think we really struck gold. I think we did it at the perfect time, and the stars were really aligned. And we are great at what we do. We weren't great when we first started, but I think I like what you just said. The timing and just the execution of just going for it at the time we did was great. But I don't think I or Darrick or Mike ever asked you, what made you comfortable with like, because we put in work out of the gate. Like we put in work up here, but like even then we weren't making money. We were doing the 2 episodes. It was just audio. You had to invest in equipment. You took the initiative to get everything. Mike and Darrick were working at Portillo's and U-Haul, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they were changing their schedules to fit these 2 days. But what made you, as somebody who had something, feel so safe, or maybe you didn't feel safe, but what made you commit yourself to doing that when you already had something that was taken off in a sense?
Yeah, it's a couple different things. I had always been infatuated with content groups, right? Like from back then, I guess they rebranded, but like Phase from back then, where it was like Adapt was still a part of it, but like Phase Rain and all these guys lived in the same house. I love that type of shit. And I've always wanted to do something. So again, at this point, I think I'm like 20 or 21. I wouldn't do that now.
Right.
But like at that point, I just loved the idea of that. And I didn't have that. Like when I started YouTube, I started with my boy Kevin and I started with my boy George, who's a police officer nowadays. But eventually they decided that content wasn't their route. So I really was making content by myself. I didn't have any other YouTube friends, but I had y'all. And this is gonna be corny, but I fucking love y'all, dog. So it's like I get an opportunity to do like something fun with my homies twice a week, and even if it's not good, even if it never takes off, it's fun to do. And I think we didn't make money for the first 2 years of the show or something like that. So we all did it out of friendship and love of the game at the end of the day. And I also, the second point of it, outside of just being a fan of like the content groups, YouTube is a scary ass place, man. So even when I'm ascending, I'm hoping that I don't plateau. I don't fall on my face. So though there wasn't a lot of money in podcasting, in my mind, this is a way to diversify. This is a way to add other different streams and not just income, but like fan bases, right? Oh, the gaming stuff fails, but guess what? We still got like the 2 times a week basketball podcast, and that was it. Like we talk about being lucky and we talk about this. Um, it was right place, right time. I think if we start the podcast a year later, we don't have the success that we do now. It's right timing. It's Darrick in the group chat saying that, oh, I'm actually serious. Like we don't have this type of success. So um at the end of the day, again, I value my friends a lot, as you know, and I didn't think it was gonna be like, oh shit, we have a TV show. We're gonna have a TV show in 6 years or 8 years, whatever it ended up being. But like, I just wanted an opportunity to do something cool with the guys, and that's what it turned into.
Yeah, like if I have a lot of dreams and they're attainable, but like a unattainable dream that I wish I could do is I would love to just go talk to us at that time. Because when you really think about the stories that you hear from people who do great things, like a lot of people talk about the delusion aspect. And there's a part of me that when I reflect, like we were kind of delusional in a sense because yeah, we committed we committed ourselves to some shit that wasn't making us money. Um, we had no idea of where it could go. Like when people see us now, they like, did y'all always know? We would be lying. We always knew we were going to, evolve and make something great. Like that was the plan and the hope. But I'm talking about ESPN, even like HOHBR, doing live shows, being on camera. Like the first couple of years, it was just audio. We never even knew we
Yeah.
was going to be on camera and have, a platform, so to speak. And for a big portion of the years, you were the main attraction. You know what I mean? It was a thing where it's like we're doing it. When we go out, people know who KB is. But to now see like Mike has his own Discord. You know what I mean? There's like our fan base has this Darrick lore where like even when he like we just did the in real life basketball, they got the ass bust, and it's still people that's like that's okay. Darrick just he wasn't ready that day. It's just like kind of crazy. But to see us commit that time, and there was never. I tell people this all the time, there's so many misconceptions because it's just what it is, and we do have moments that people can't understand. Our friendships are unique, they're secure, so we can argue. There's been times where I obviously everybody knows have had arguments with all of y'all, yelling, cursing, and the camera go off, and we have never had one issue or one time where a fight was broken up or somebody was like, I'm not coming in today because of what he said. And like I just it's just kind of crazy to see where it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to talk to us at that time. I just really wish I could get the mental side of what the fuck was
Yeah.
we thinking, and that's what made me ask you, like,
Yeah.
what were you thinking to do a podcast with
I
us?
think I think that y'all deserve so much credit, bro, because how easy would it have been 3 months in when you're making $0 to say, man, my last shift at work was crazy. I'm not coming in to the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody. Darrick was real life working 12 to 12 and then getting up to
For
the pod the
real,
next morning and never complained a single bit while
and
not
picked
making
up
any
me.
money. Yes, like real. So again, I think that boils down to the friendship and the commitment aspect of it all. Like, yeah, people may see if they're a new viewer, they may have just seen that, like, oh, this show exists. But like, no, it took real life dedication from everybody involved to like, if you look at those old episodes, for 99% of them, all four of us are there. And all y'all three y'all had real stakes at line, right? Y'all had real life like if the podcast failed for me at that time, it would have sucked, but it wouldn't have mattered because the YouTube thing was going up. At
Mm-hmm.
that moment in time, y'all put not all y'all eggs, because again, y'all had other jobs, but y'all put like 90% of y'all eggs in that basket. And for it to go a year, and we got scammed that first year. I know you remember that where the guy was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to pay. We didn't get paid. That and if other people are in y'all shoes, they probably like, man, fuck this podcasting thing. That guy owe us money, and we just worked a year and didn't get no money. But instead of doing that, y'all showed up to the show again. Like that's crazy. That's crazy commitment to something with no money involved. And then eventually, shout out to our boy Doug and the team over at HOH, and turned into something that could eventually turn into a career. But yeah, y'all deserve a ton of credit for that, man, because it would have been so easy to just say, this ain't for me. But y'all didn't.
Yeah, man, crazy. Because if you like you said, like the people clown, like we clown Darrick and Mike, and We've all been the butt of the jokes though, but like
Mhm.
on the show. And as much as we clown some of the takes and everything, like the show, one person doing what you just said, the show is not the same. You cannot take Darrick off of this show, and it's the same. You cannot. I don't care how crazy takes. I don't care. He took the Mavericks over the Celtics, and we all was like, okay, like it just isn't the same show. You take me, you, or Darrick is not wearing that big ass Laker hat.
Yeah.
You, or Darrick. I don't want to spoil. He just put a costume on for a video that I think is going to come out soon. Not a video,
Mhm.
but something Christian wanted him to do. And it's like we always say, even yesterday, Christian was telling you an idea for a video, and you was like, "Hey, at least you always know you got Mike." I'm not going
Yeah.
to do it. Pierre ain't going to do it. Darrick damn sure ain't going to do it. But at least you got Mike. Like it just isn't the same.
Mhm.
Like you cannot do this show, and it's two Pierres. You can't get away with having two Pierres on the show. You know what I mean? Like it's not it. So it's really crazy. The segue I want to take from that though is we did the podcast. We were committed. We had marginal and short bursts of success, and we were able to always parlay it. I think even to real time, we do a really good job of building momentum and like carrying it. I don't remember a time where our show had momentum and it just like flat
Mhm.
plant, like just didn't go anywhere. It's turned into something more than just a podcast. It went to HOH. We did that. That was a great tenure for us. We pivoted. And now you were able to build enjoy off of the universe. And now the numbers on the board is enjoy basketball and,
Mhm.
in a way. So now your role is different. You're a co-host still, but you're also a part of the ownership that creates the umbrella for us to exist the way we want to after gaining experience in other business ways. How is that for you? How is that different with being one of the guys, but
Mhm.
also your decision maker? Everybody talks and flirts with the idea of being a boss. You're actually a boss. And so some of the less glamorous parts of being a boss. Speak to that, especially with Dylan. You work with your cousin, a close cousin, a first cousin, and you work with two friends.
Mhm.
And you're one of the boys, but you're also in this executive position. So hypothetically speaking, if Mike got his next contract offer and he wasn't happy with it, that goes on your desk. That's
Yeah.
a big different than when we first started and we were just four guys that were like, let's vote. All 3-1. Oh, we all agree. Cool. So open up to us about that side of it because I don't think a lot of people think about that or understand it too much.
Yeah, I will say we kind of changed the game when our switch. A lot of the things that we were asking for from the last company are now normal in the contract negotiations. So I think it's great for the future of podcasting and creation in general. But it is different. I think the best thing that happened is that I'm not the only sole owner of it all. Um, and there are people that are smarter on the business side that work in this company. Right. So like, yeah, I may be the front facing guy, but it is a dynamic that I guess we haven't really had the opportunity to think about yet because so far it's been pretty good. Like when we decided to shift and do it independently and then again team up with Omaha, nobody from that original was like, shit, I need so and so more amount of money. We haven't had that happen. Maybe it happens one day. I can't say it won't happen, but we
Yeah.
haven't crossed that bridge just yet. And I know they always say don't mix what friends and business, family and business. So far, so good right now. I mean, who the fuck knows is what's gonna happen, but I think the best thing that could have happened is that we've trusted each other on this path, right? Like it was hard to switch from our last company, man. We had been with them for like 5 years at that point.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I asked for y'all to trust me on this one thing
Mhm.
because at that moment in time, we didn't own our names, we didn't own our shows, and as you know, as people at home know, we had to rebrand completely. That's a nightmare. We continue to grow this hypothetically. If we built that to 1 million listeners and 1 million viewers, and then they decide they didn't want to bring us back, then we had to start all over. So I thought that us starting over what we did made a lot of sense. And now we own the shit. So
Mhm.
whether we go to another company or do it independently or do this, numbers on the board is ours. And I think that's the coolest thing that could possibly happen in all of it. So the business aspect of it, being in meetings and hearing about this and like being in interviews, like if I'm not mistaken, everybody that is on the team, I was a part of their original like interview process, and that's weird for me.
Hmm.
Like I don't know if I've interviewed anybody that I was like, nah, he not right for the team. Like, like that's not something I'm good at. But like when Christian was like, yeah, I don't really love the NBA that much, but look out for Jalen Wells. And then Jalen Wells ended up being nice. I'm like, hold on, this guy might know a little something, something. When
Yeah.
when the original meeting of with Maddie, she brought Wag Talk as an idea. We didn't
Oh.
expect it to have millions and millions of views one day, but that was one of the first pitches when we first met her, and now it's one of the best shows on all the internet. So, and I remember meeting Kat not for the first time because we worked together at BR, but like I was in New York for a shoot, and we were at a hotel room. We were in the lobby pitching ideas and stuff. So, um, again, I have like the Hawk brothers who are very good at kind of the businessy aspect of it all. I try to be on camera. I try to make sure the show is still running well, but it's very surreal. Like I'm not in New York, obviously, but like the Hawk brothers text me all the time of seeing people wearing the Enjoy Basketball merch just in life. Not to a meet and greet, not to a
Yeah.
live show, but like an Amazon driver wearing one of our hats. That's crazy to me.
Hmm.
And hopefully we continue to build and build and build. And from what we saw when we interviewed Adam Silver, our sentiment, our ideas, all of the things that we care about as a company, the NBA cares about too, right? So we're trying to usher our way into like we're already doing it big, but doing it bigger than big with
Yes.
the company and all.
Do you find any added stress? Because on one stance, you're in conversations with the Hawk brothers, is business oriented, and they have goals and visions, and then you come back to the couch, and I'm sure there's conversations where you have to. I don't want to say have to fight for us, but you also
Mhm.
keep us in mind. Um, and now, yeah, the company is growing, so there's visions that Christian has. There are conversations that Drew is going to pull you to the side. um, there's people that I'm not even aware of that are probably, I don't know what Jeremy is talking to you about, and you know what I'm saying. So is there any added stress in that department, or when there is a time where contracts come up, or different situations like that, and you're thinking in your mind, okay, I know Mike, I know I got to get my guys. They're going to want to get some more. But then you also got your own family, the own thing. Like, is there any added stress, or has everything been able to kind of, at this point, relatively working its way, and just focus on the work and it's taking care of itself? Or is it a stress? Like, these aren't things
Mhm.
that we ask you in the day to day. That I'm curious to just know right now.
Yeah, I would say it's somewhat stressful, but like I wouldn't change anything about it. I feel like as long as it's not raising my blood pressure or I'm getting sleepless nights, like a little bit of stress and pressure keeps me going in a way because I do want to continue to grow the brand as big as possible. I do want to make sure numbers on the board continues to thrive. So I think about those things, and everybody in the company is not going to see eye to eye. There's going to be ideas pitched that we're going to have to turn down. There's going to be stuff like that, but I would hope that nobody ever takes it really personal because I think everybody within our brand wants the same thing. I think we all want to grow because everybody grows, everybody gets paid, right? That's really what it boils down to. So there is some stresses, but like so far it hasn't been super life changing. Well, no, I take that back. I'm definitely more stressed now than I was when we were HOH, but I was just on camera talent at that point, right? I was like, go do the podcast, and that's my
That's
job.
it.
But now
Yep.
it's a little more. It's a bit more. But I wouldn't change anything about it at all. It's been great.
How is it helping you evolve as a person and an individual? And the reason I say that is because I know you to be more reserved. Um, but there is certain times where I'm a person, like, I don't want to say evaluator, but I watch little things in all of us. And there are times where I see you kind of say things a little bit. Like, I'll say when we first got here, one of the things, even when we were leaving HOH, and we kind of, I don't think it was 100% thing, but I think we all kind of understood at a certain point, like, we're probably going somewhere else. I remember you would throw little things out because it was like Mike was twitching, but he wasn't twitching consistently. Darrick
Mhm.
had the idea of maybe doing full reviews, but didn't really full commit it. My YouTube was doing good, but I wasn't. locked in like I had been just in the recent memory or past. And you kept throwing like tidbits of like, man, if we all start little things on its
Mhm.
own, and then I would see that conversation be just like subtle drop-ins of messages, and then it started to elevate and elevate and elevate to now, shit, like 3 months ago, we all on camera got on Darrick ass like, hey man, you ain't dropped the food review in a minute, man.
Yeah.
I know we know you're moving. We know you got desk issues, but damn it, you are in too good of a position to be having desk issues for 3 weeks, and that's the reason you're not dropping content. Like, how has that evolved for you to be more of a vocal leader? Because
Mhm.
you've always been kind of by action or example.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the friendship aspect of keeping each other accountable. Because I truly do believe that when you have a built-in platform, which we all do because of the show, you be doing yourself a disservice by not doing content on the side. Even if
Mhm.
you don't turn into the next Kai Cenat, like that's just extra revenue. It's extra brand. It's something you can bring to the negotiation table and say, hey man, I have so and so amount of followers, and this is how many views I get per video or per stream. Pay me as such. That was one of the things I did with HOH. Like
Mhm.
when they got us on our deal, my channel was not that big, but eventually I have 1 million subscribers. Pay me as such. So I always try to, get y'all, and y'all doing way better now than like 2 years ago I was first trying to get on asses. But it's just at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that we do is content. We just don't have the camera on, right? So when we're doing the 2K runs, it's like, Mike, stream, bro. Why not? Why you ain't streaming right now? Even if there's 12 people watching, it don't
Mhm.
matter. You never know if you're gonna get raided or somebody finds your channel and becomes a fan. And now that's not just a fan of yours. They find out about numbers on the board. Then everybody continues to eat. So there are certain things when you talk about me, putting my foot down. There are certain things that really bother me in the content space, and usually if we're in a production meeting, you could probably tell when I'm frustrated. But there are just certain things that I just kind of know from the content space, and I just want everybody to trust me on certain things, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, there are a few times where I definitely am out of character on those meetings because I'm very passionate about certain stuff. Um, and a lot of that's content based. But I love what y'all been doing. I say you've been on stream for like 8 days straight or something crazy like that. And it's no longer just playing college football. It's like I think you did a snack tier list. I'm like, yeah, content, baby. That's really what it's all about, especially if we're in this space.
You just said something. I had a different question, but I'm gonna move it to the back. You just said there's certain things that you know from the content space that just trust you. I'm a man of the people. I have some fan questions that I'm gonna get to at the end because I feel like I said, you're one of the greatest YouTubers of all time in your realm or just in general. We ain't got to limit it. And so to be able to allow people who have watched you for years, we always do the joke when we do the live shows. Is somebody like it keeps getting younger and younger. Kenny, I've been watching you since I was in 7th grade, and
Yeah.
then it goes down to Kenny. I've been watching you since I was 4, and now they're like, I'm graduating high school. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's kids has been watching you for like a decade plus, and I just think it's cool to be able to give them an avenue to kind of talk to you, not
Mhm.
directly, but some type of way. And before I get to those things, I want to hear you kind of tell them what catches your eye when you're watching content, because we'll have conversations. There was like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago now when we were doing fantasy football. And I remember you kept saying it like, man, I found this guy. He's going to be big or he can be big. Um, he has a small channel. I remember the first time I heard about Sesh. I think you had brought him up. There's other. I don't want to get anybody's content or channel wrong in a moment like this because it would help
Mhm.
them. So I just won't say. But there's other shows that you. Who are the guys that you drove to Michigan or Detroit or you was in
Oh,
Detroit?
Hive Mind. Shout out to Hive Mind.
Hive Mind. That was the first time I heard of them. And there's other little niche things that you sometimes find because it's easy to find the big ones.
Mhm.
But what do you see or what do you hear or whatever that makes you say Kenny Beecham is subscribing to this or Kenny Beecham is sharing this to his friends group chat or on his whatever?
Mhm.
What are you watching or what is it something that makes those people stand out?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a combination. At least if we're talking about sports content to start off with, it has to be a combination of knowledge and entertainment. And I think that's where our show is, where it's like, yeah, we drop gems and takes and stuff, but it's also funny. It's also entertaining. That's why I really like the Nerd Sesh guys because, you know, Carson and Logan could go on a 3-minute soliloquy about Bill Russell being underrated, but in the middle of that, also make a joke that's like, damn, that was like a 3-level joke, you know, like, so it's got to be a combination of those different things. And the one football guy you're talking about, I don't want to say his name just yet because I truly want him to be a part of our brand one day, and I refuse to let other people steal him away. Oh no, his name is Anthony Lawson. Go get your love, Anthony. Anthony's great. But it's just certain stuff like that, right? Like there are certain things that I want you to be knowledgeable about. Like if I'm looking for what makes Caleb Williams different than Jaden McDaniels, right?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden McDaniels is the small four. Okay. And positive or negative, compare and contrast them, baby. That's what I'm here for. And give me not just like, yeah, that dude got swag and this dude don't got swag. Like, show me the footage, break down the footage. And then when it comes to like Hive Mind, those guys are truly comedians that happen to work in the music space. I'm not a music guy anymore. Like I tell you this all the time. I don't listen to new music often. I'll be listening to Earl.
Yes, sir.
I just listen to Chance.
Okay.
But those are childhood figures.
Yeah.
You can name the new hot guy on the block, and I can't tell you a single song.
Yeah, you ain't listened to that new Babyface Ray.
Not even a little bit. But I'll watch a Hive Mind episode that's about music because it's comedy more than anything. So I think we all in agreement that like we like to laugh. I think laughing is one of the best things you can do as a human. It's just like, I don't know. I just be laughing at random shit in my head. And I like Mike. Mike could leave his car and be laughing to himself.
Just smiling.
Like, yeah. Just smiling. But like I be thinking about jokes that I've heard 2 days ago and be like, that was really funny. And that's really what it boils down to. But on a visual aspect, nothing is better than an intriguing thumbnail, man. What the hell is this video really about? I gotta find out because that thumbnail is very clickable.
What is it about that? Because I'm the same way with music. I got my favorite artists. I got a bunch, but J. Cole. I found J. Cole when I was like in 8th grade, and it wasn't because of I saw a rap or anything. It was his album cover.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with thumbnails. It's just like we doing fantasy football. So if I'm trying to get fantasy football information and I'm going to different people, if I'm honestly speaking, I'm probably deciding who I want to watch based off the fucking thumbnail. Because I don't know anything behind these channels, anything. Which one is saying click me? Like it's what is your thought process on like if I was when you watch a golf, that's something that I know you've been searching over the last couple of years. What's a good golf thumbnail that makes you click?
That's a good question. I think it has to, have some type of emotion or some type of challenge aspect of it all. So like if I'm going to the very highest level, the thumbnail of a professional going against 4 random normal people, I'm going to click that every single time because I want to see, could these 4 random guys that have a handicap like mine beat Bryson DeChambeau? I have no idea. Or in like a good aspect, I think their show is grounded in friendship. So if I can see in the thumbnail a reference of a video that happened last month that was funny, then I'm going to click that video. So I mean, a thumbnail is going to be the first impression to everything. Like that's how you get your audience. And I've been working with Ryan since like 2019. He's done like pretty much every thumbnail I've ever had since like 2019. So he kind of has a vision that we like this now. We're like, I'll give him an idea or I give him a title with no idea and say cook. And I never have I very rarely have revisions. Maybe I say switch Paolo Banchero out for a certain player, but the idea of the thumbnail has always
hold on now, they're gonna get on your ass.
Yeah, I told you, man. Because of that one dude told me I'm a Paolo Banchero hater, I'm now a Paolo Banchero hater. Gotta be, man. It's the craziest thing that can happen on the internet.
This interview has been great. We are an hour and 15 minutes in. There is going to be somebody that's like, why he say Paolo? Why he had to take Paolo out? I'm glad we got to that. Before we really get into some of the things that the people wanted to know, one of my last questions for me as an individual, can you take us through the psychology of having financial freedom? We come up in a way, I want to say all of this. It's important that I say this because family watches this stuff when we're together. Me and KB did not grow up poor. We've never been in a shelter or anything like that. I don't want anybody, Our parents are very hardworking. Since I've known KB's dad, he has always worked. Like Ken has always worked. That's what we know him for. His house has always been a fun place to go to because it's had shit because he was worked. I was thinking about this earlier. My dad has never told me a time has been tough. My dad has never, even when I knew it was a little tight, my dad has never verbally told me that.
Right.
My mom didn't tell me that till I was a teenager. Even when you're getting older, when you're 11 and 12, you become aware. You maybe are up and they don't know that you're up, and you can hear a conversation. And I think we come from a family of hard workers. My earliest memories of your mom, KB, is when she worked at Target. And I don't know if it's like this for anybody else, but I was so used to, for the first early years of my life, only seeing my family from my dad's side when I was with my dad. And I remember seeing your mom when I would be with my mom at Target. And I'm like, Ma, that's my auntie Gayla. Like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe I'm seeing my auntie when I'm with you. I'm supposed to only see her when I'm with dad. I remember Auntie Crystal, her first job was Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
She was our young aunt when we were kids. She was still a kid too. Nuki always had top level nice shit that let me know he always not only worked but had a really good job. He was the first person I seen with a gaming setup.
Yeah.
Like, he had his Xbox with a computer. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. So we come from people that work, but we also don't come from like money or anything. And we had our tough times throughout our lives and different things like that. So going through all of that and coming up in a time like that to now be financially free, what is the psychological aspect that you've kind of gone through all these stuff? Even in high school, I remember you from high school. We all were kind of similar. Looking at the shoe stuff that we do now, we were like 1 or 2 shoe guys the entire year. And one of the shoes were going to be your basketball shoe. And now, you know what I mean? So it's like, how did you go through all of that? You get the money. The first thing, I know everybody that gets a little bit of money, you don't want to lose it. But then you also want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You also start to change and understand high level taste making and shit like that. So take me through all of that puzzling pretzel twisting of the brain when you gain financial freedom.
I remember there was a time where I looked at my bank account and I felt guilty. Where I had financial freedom and my mom was still working like a retail job. And I felt really guilty about it. And I remember calling her and I was like genuinely in tears about it. It's like, Mom, I'm doing so good. I want to help, but I'm afraid to help because it's not like I have a job with a pension. Like this is a volatile job. So the money that I have in my account right now with YouTube, that might be the most I ever have. So I can't say, Mom, here's a new car. Mom, here's a new apartment. Mom, here's a new this. I feel so bad about that. And she eased my pain so much that says something like, son, you don't ever have to worry about me in your life. Like I'm living my life. I'm happy. I'm doing everything I could ever want to do. And I want you to do the same. I'm a mama's boy and a son at the same time. Where I took that, but also in the back of my mind, I was like, fuck that. I'm gonna buy her a house one day. Right. And guess what we're doing? You know what I'm saying? So like the financial freedom aspect of it, again, I have a level of guilt because you want to help everybody that you can. But also you have to recognize that you literally can't, you really literally can't. So I have these individual goals where, again, I want to buy my mom a house. My dad just opened up a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like that I'm helping my people, but also recognizing that shit, I got 2 kids upstairs. I got a wife. I got all of these things. So one thing that really changed my life was finding out that Avery was going to be born. Before that, never thought about being a father, never thought about having kids. All of the money that I had was in one singular account, which I don't recommend, by the way. And I remember like hitting up the Hawk brothers, like, can y'all help? Can y'all put me in a direction to find somebody to help me take care of my money? And then eventually, obviously, my kids got 529s, we got trust accounts, we got all of these things to make sure we're good. But I remember on the pod, Darrick was talking about like, yeah, KB, man, you got to take a vacation. You got to take a vacation. You work so hard. And I understand what he's saying. I think he said something like, something about the fruits of your labor. You got to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And in my mind, I do that thing, right? When I talk about me trying different hobbies and all of that stuff, in my mind, that's me enjoying the fruits of my labor. Do I enjoy sports cars? Do I enjoy golf? Do I enjoy this? that is me showcasing my financial freedom. Yeah, it'll be cool to go to Jamaica, but like I'd rather go to Mark's car shop down the street and go spend $1,000 on Pokemon cards. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's the type of thing that I'm really into. Um, and it changes your motivation more than anything. One of the reasons you see a ton of like big time YouTubers take a step away from content creation is because you feel like you have nothing to make content for anymore. When I move out of the house and I told you I'm making 5.5 grand to 7.5 grand, the reason I'm doing that is A, I enjoy it, but also I want to see how much money I can make. Then eventually creators make enough money where the money's not the end goal anymore. So what do I do? And I think that one of the best things that I did was we started the pod, right? So like that is my baby. You think I want to be making 2K? I love making 2K videos. You know I don't do that. But the pod, and then making a name for myself doing some TV appearances, that's what it's really been about. So I try my very hardest to again stay grounded and not let the money do anything. And hopefully I'm being successful with that. But like at the end of the day, I think I always just want to make sure my girls are good, and then my parents are good, and then hopefully one day my sisters too. But I mean, I'm not Jeff Bezos. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it all the time. But that's really all.
That's a great transition into some of the things that some of the people want to hear. One of the things that stood out to me in my stream, somebody said, "How do you tell people no?" And I think coming off of a money question, that's an excellent. I was like, bro, that's a fucking great question, not just for KB, but like I might have to pocket that one for everybody I talk to.
Yeah.
How do you tell people no? And this could be a family member that need money. This could be somebody that wants you to do an appearance. How do you tell people no, KB?
It's one of my hardest. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think the way I tackle it is not the most ethical way. Right?
Would you run from it?
So and so asked me for a little bit of change. I don't. You know, like it's not the most ethical way, but I hate disappointing people. You know what I'm saying? So like even on a day-to-day basis, Christian may have an idea that fucking sucks, but I don't want to tell Christian that. You know,
Right.
like so it's something I truly do struggle with, man. And Christian, I know you listening. He said AAA. That hasn't happened yet. That was a hypothetical. That's hypothetical. Yeah. But one day it will happen.
I will let him know if it's
so that's our dynamic as a show. We're like, yeah, Pierre will be the one that's like, Christian, that ain't it, bro. But I'll be like, yeah, Christian, you might got something there. You know, we maybe tinker with it a little bit, but no, I really do struggle with overall saying no. I think me and my wife both have that. You know, we struggle with it, and you have to do it
to the kids.
I was about to say you have to do it as a parent, right? It's a lot easier to do it for the kid because she's gonna forget.
Yeah.
Oh, daddy, I want this toy. No. Okay. You know, like, but like there's a bigger scale to it, whereas like if it's a family member who's 32 years old, that no is something they're gonna remember forever, where Avery will forget it in 30 seconds. So
yeah.
It's I'm in therapy.
What does your day-to-day look like? Somebody asked. I'm sorry to everybody in the stream. I couldn't get y'all names. I just wrote these things down.
Yeah, I mean, my day-to-day is pretty normal. I'm waking up around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I guess it depends on when Avery wakes up, honestly. Sometimes she's an early riser, sometimes she's not. Get her ready for the day. We have help in the house. So like a few days a week we have a nanny come through, which takes because now, especially since my wife has the almost month-old baby, we need an extra pair of hands. So usually when our nanny is here, that is like, it's my time to go to work. So I'm filming videos from like 10 to 2 on any given day, or we're doing the podcast from 10 to 2 and so on. And then if we're in season, obviously games start around 5 o'clock, and then we're watching from 5 to like midnight, and we create content after that. But it's dynamic, right? I mean, I think one of the luxuries of being your own boss and making content is that your schedule can shift and there's no consequences to it all. So some days, like yesterday, after we got done with the pod, I didn't do anything. It should have been a day I filmed a video. I was like, I don't really feel like it today. I'm gonna watch some TV and watch some Twitch or something. So it evolves. But it's like people think that for me, at least, because I have all these channels and always putting out this content, that it's like he must be filming and working for 12 hours a day. That's not the case. That's really not the case at all.
What YouTubers were you inspired by early on? Somebody asked, which I thought was great because
Yeah.
you were kind of my introduction into YouTube. And I was like, oh shit, my cousin is a fucking YouTuber, so let me go and. But like pre you, I can't.
Mhm.
They be calling me Unc because they'll bring up certain people, and I'll be like, man, like slow down. I know who Chris Smooth is. Like
Right,
relax.
yeah.
But they'll bring up these other people, and I'll be like, I
So
don't
growing
know.
up, that was the only content I did, obviously I was there for like Nickelodeon and stuff like that, but when I came home from school, I wasn't going to watch Disney Channel, I was loading up YouTube. So it was obviously Chris Smoove was a pioneer of this whole community that we're a part of. But deeper than that, like iPod King Carter, who's still around, there was Waza Noun, there was uh Stax Montana still around. I think he's working with 2K for the last couple of years. So there was guys in the community that I kind of looked up to. And then there was people in different creator communities where like people may not know this guy, but Uber Haxanova was my favorite YouTuber ever. He did
What did he
like
do?
Minecraft videos. He did like just random games, like let's play type of guy, but he was so comedic. And again, I'm like 12 or 13 or something. But he became like my comfort YouTuber where I would just watch his content all the time. And then he had his own content group called The Creatures. This is deep lore, but like those are my guys growing up. And then that's kind of it. Or the Call of Duty community, FaZe Jev, he was a big guy and he's still doing his thing. Um, oh, what is his name? Oh my, now I'm at the. There was a black Call of Duty guy that I just loved his videos. And he, um, damn, it's gonna bother the hell out of me. But he was my guy growing up, and I gotta find it.
Yeah, no, do your thing because podcasting and all of the years we've done it, man, ain't nothing worse than having that name or wanting to know and not remember. So whenever you get it, feel free
I
to
don't even
let
know
us
what I'm
know.
gonna search to find it. It'll pop
Black
in eventually. Just black Call of
Call
Duty
of
guy.
Duty. Swag gonna pop up probably. What do you do? We know you're a workaholic. Somebody just literally said, "What does he do?" They want to know, like, what do you? When you said you didn't create yesterday and you just went home and watched TV, they probably want to know what you watched.
Yeah, I was talking about it before you
Ain't
hopped
that
in the
crazy
call.
that somebody cares so much to know what you do? Like, just
Yeah,
to let.
it is an honor, but also can be kind of scary at times that
Yeah.
people care that much. But thank you. No, it wasn't nothing crazy. I was telling people that I just bought a VHS tape player and
Mhm.
55 vintage basketball VHSs. That's literally what I did yesterday. I set up a whole new thing with the VHS tape and an old TV
It
because
looked
it,
good.
it got to be an old TV, right, in order to make it work. But not that old. It wasn't like
What
the fat pack.
games? You said
I
that's a screenshot, but I think the coach was on the screen.
Yeah, so there was a few ones I watched yesterday. It was Superstars of the 2000s. It was a tape that was made in 1998 of them predicting who would be
Mm,
superstars in the 2000s. And they hit on like KG, but they missed on people like Antoine Walker, Damon
mm.
Stoudemire. All these guys had good careers, don't get me wrong, but they weren't Kevin fucking Garnett.
Right.
Um, they had Allen Iverson in there, of course. And then I watched one that was about the
They hit on
90s.
Iverson.
Oh hell yeah! They
Okay.
had the interview with him taking off the old interview. He's taking off his guards, and you see all the scars underneath. I
Hmm.
remember watching as a kid, so I
Wow.
watched that one. I watched one about the second Bulls championship, and then I was starting the one I sent the screenshot for. It was a 1994 March Madness recap. Wow, that's
Wow.
that's pretty fucking dope. Or maybe it was the year Arizona won. Is that 1994?
Shit, I don't know. Is
Either
this
way,
Mike Bibby?
I ain't even they didn't even get to the number one team yet
Okay.
when I stopped watching. Either way,
Wow.
it was super fun. Oh, this is the Arkansas year. But whatever year they ended up
Oh,
winning.
that's a great team. That's a
97.
great team. That's a great
97,
team.
yeah.
97 Arizona.
Hmm.
This is Mike Bibby, Miles Simon. I think Miles Simon was a Lakers shooting coach for a
Yeah, he
while.
was he was the most outstanding player that year of the tourney.
They were in the phone posits, the pennies. They like made that shoe a little bit more popular than penny a little bit. But worst fan encounter, somebody asked. If it
Believe
exists.
believe it or not, I don't have a many. I think my worst fan encounters is me being awkward versus the
Mm.
person that was meeting me being awkward. Um, So I don't have any, man. The community's always been cool. One of my favorite interactions is when people see me like, "What up, Kenny?" And don't like. Obviously, I'll take pictures if you want them, but like just like a what's good. I fuck with the stuff. So I don't have any, man. Not yet, at least. I feel like it's inevitable that it's gonna happen.
Somebody asks, do you feel pressure to not voice super controversial opinions because of your growing audience?
No, because honestly speaking, I don't have a ton of super controversial opinions. That's just not who I've ever really been. My opinions have usually been pretty straightforward, and if I have one, I'll let you know. But it's just rare.
Yeah,
You know.
you know we live in like this hot take world. Now we got someone for Twitter I can give some shout out. Shout out to my boy Killer Cam. KB, you might know Killer Cam. He be in
Yep.
Mike Discord. He said, "What's one skill / trait you would take from each of the numbers on the board members?" That's a great question.
Ooh, I would take your ability to talk to people for
Okay.
sure. I would take Darrick's on some
Uh,
real stuff. I was gonna say Darrick's stomach, but I don't mean in a like. But like Darrick is a guy. I have all the food stuff. There's certain stuff I just literally cannot eat, and Darrick is
exactly.
just like I will try everything at least one time.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they wanted to keep it within the podcast space or just as a person, but and then for Mike, Mike has a level of I don't give a fuck that I envy a little bit.
Same. He just
It's
get
just
on a plane and just like
yeah, really, for real. And it's like sometimes it like scares me about him in a way. It's like, yeah, man, you don't have headphones for this 4-hour flight? Nothing? But he's like, I'm good. I'm just gonna sleep, and he does it. Like, so I'm that's what I'm taking. That's 100% what I'm taking from Mike.
oh, oh man. Yeah, like it is fucking crazy. Mike will get on a plane and just do this for 5 fucking hours. It's crazy. Um, my boy Royal King said during his big break from content, I must have missed this. What were some of the main things that brought him back? I'm not aware of a break. Maybe he's
Are they talking about
exact.
the one I mentioned earlier, the little 6-month break?
I have no idea.
It has to be. I've never taken any other breaks.
That's what I thought. I was like, man, maybe it's some shit I don't know about, but yeah.
If we're talking about that one, I just had a lot of time and didn't have anything to do to fill the time. So I was like, let me just create YouTube videos again. I don't think there's ever been a time I walked away from the game, right?
Not that I know. Or
Right?
was it that time when you kept saying you weren't gonna do rebuilds?
No, because
Was
even
that a
then I
break?
was still making videos on other stuff.
Okay, yeah. I have no idea. What Desmond Powell, shout out to my guy Desmond Powell. He says, was there ever a moment he thought about quitting? What were some things he struggled with and how did he see it through?
I never thought about quitting, other than again that one that I mentioned earlier, which I since I've been making any type of financial from that, I've never thought about quitting. What was the second part of that?
What were some things you struggled with and how did you see it through? You kind of talked about it a little bit, unless it's something
Yeah.
you didn't dive deeper on.
No, I think that's it. I mean, if there's anything I've always struggled with is balancing the content and relationships. Like I don't talk to my dad as much as I probably should, my mom, my
Mhm.
sisters, and so on. And people will ask like, what sacrifices have you made? That's the number one thing. And I think I would tell myself, I'll get back in tune once I do this. And then I'll
Yeah.
do that, and then I'll move the goalposts and say, like, oh, I want to do this too. So and it's a tug and pull that I've always had. And at some point it's like, have some of those relationships, are they like not over, but like too far gone to really rekindle? Um, but
I
that was a
wonder if that's a
sacrifice I made.
I wonder if sometimes if that's a family dynamic thing. Because I also would look up and be like, damn, bro, like I haven't talked to my dad in 3 days. Or like there's a cousin that I'll see it, see or be like I went a long time without saying anything to LaShawn.
Hmm.
Not purposefully, but then I seen that. I'm like, bro, I can't believe like that's my brother.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? I had nieces and nephews that I hadn't met or still
Yeah.
haven't met. But that's because my sister just had a baby. But you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
shit like that happens, and you look up, it's like, damn, my niece is 2, and I haven't met her.
Yeah.
And I sometimes am like, is that a me thing? Well, I have to take my accountability in that for
Hmm.
sure. But I'll then now hear you say it. There's other like on my mom's side, other family dynamics. I'm like, is this a thing, or is our family too used to just doing that?
I
I'm
think it's a
very
combination. Something just happened 2 days ago. My one of my sisters came over to meet the new baby, and her son came and he looked at me and said, "You look different, Unc." It's like, yeah, I cut my hair, but that was 10 months ago.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's my fault that you haven't seen me in that since I cut my hair. Like, I got to be better as an uncle, and as a brother to my sister.
I feel that. This one, I'm gonna ask this question and I'm gonna get out the way. Nate Snow says, I want to know about his Pokemon origins. I have nothing to do with no Pokemon.
Uh-huh.
He also said, I also would like to hear both of your opinions on what it takes to be successful in today's economy.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
leave.
God.
I'm just gonna let you deal
Okay.
with the Pokemon
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I think a lot of people as kids love the game of Pokemon or the TV show or the trading cards. Um, and that was me as well, right? Like I remember opening up packs, and like you mentioned, my mom working at Target. When I would go visit her at work, I would get a pack when they were available. Nowadays, they're not available to get for retail and everything. And more recently, my obsession with it comes from my daughter. Where like I remember coming home one day and I'm like, "What you watching?" She said, "Pokemon." I'm like, "Oh, all right, you gonna be into it? Then damn it, I'm back." So
right.
we went through watching like some of the vintage stuff that we watched when we were kids and some of the newer series, and like she loves it, and that makes me love it. And then again, I have an addictive personality. If I try something, I'm gonna be into it for at least a couple weeks before I'm like, oh, this ain't really for me. And that's where I'm at right now, where like I've been to in the last month like 5 card shows just looking for stuff. So and now me and Mike have that Discord of people that
Yes.
also love Pokemon.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that's what would make it so that it doesn't go away, because now we've built a community of people that also love it. And they're like exchanging cards and phone numbers in that Discord. And it's pretty dope. But I wish I didn't join in during the bubble, because shit is hella expensive, more expensive than it should be. But it is so very fun to, whether it's Pokemon or whatever, to go to a place where everybody has the same interest. So in a
Yeah.
card show, there's a smell in the air. It ain't a good smell, but it's a smell in the air, all these people, but everybody's trying to catch them all in some case. We're looking for specific cards, and it's like a community aspect. Or like one of the tables that I was at a couple of days ago, I'm just walking past. He said, "You want a free pack?" Hell yeah, I want a free pack. What are you talking about? So that's the origins of it. And the fact that Mike also likes Pokemon kind of keeps you into it if you got one of your homies that also are into it.
Definitely. Definitely. My boy AP Hoops, I think you're probably familiar with AP
Mm-hmm.
Hoops. He's the Clipper fan. He said, no pressure on this, by the way, KB, because these questions are tough. And I think they be always expecting A-list like stories. Need his favorite childhood story of you two, like I need air.
Favorite childhood story of us two. The first one that comes to mind is I don't remember the name of that park. It don't exist no more. It was attached to that school. It was my first time going to a basketball camp, and you were there. That's where all the pictures
Emmett?
are. Is it Emmett?
That's Emmett,
Um,
yeah.
I drove past there on a couple days ago. We went to Nana's house, and it's not even a park no more. I was like, damn.
Oh, I haven't seen it that long. I've always seen it as a park. That's crazy. Wow.
Um,
What is it?
it's still where the school at, but there's no basketball rims. There's no nothing there. Like it's not for the kids no more. I don't know what they plan on doing. It's kind of like shipping containers there. So I don't know if they're gonna build
Oh,
something else,
wow.
or I don't know.
Wow.
Either way, that's like my earliest memory of us together. Obviously, we spent so many weekends and days together that it kind of is a blur, but it was just cool to like, because that was I don't know if you had ever been to another basketball camp, but that was
No,
my first basketball camp ever.
same.
And then this is gonna sound crazy, but I was playing up. Like that wasn't the one
Mhm.
for like, let's say I'm 5 years old. It wasn't a 5-year-old camp, but I was like there and it
Right.
was cool. We met Arnie Duncan,
Mhm.
who eventually went on to be in the cabinet, I think, with Obama.
We was in a
Um,
newspaper.
we were in a newspaper. My mom still has a clip out of us
Oh,
posing and
wow.
stuff. So that's like it. But even that's not really a personal story. We just happened to be in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good
That's the
question,
same.
man.
When he said that, I started to think, and I'm like, one of my favorite memories that I have. But again, it's not anything that's gonna be like, oh man, this is Nana's old house, or your old house.
Mm,
Basically a family house, y'all. This is a house where the bottom was like an apartment. So KB and his mom was in there. It was really nice when I think about it,
yeah.
because it had the shower in the bathroom. It had like a little bar kitchen thing, a front room, 2 rooms.
Hmm.
That second room eventually was your room, but Uncle Nuki stayed in that room.
Yep.
And then up the stairs, it's Taisha's room, his KB's sister. Then it goes into the backyard, the kitchen, the stairs that go up to Crystal's room, Papa room, Nana room, living room, front room.
It's kind of insane how many people lived in that house.
Yes,
And,
like legitimate family house, and
yeah.
everything happened at this house. My dad got married at this house.
Yeah.
birthdays. We never went to the pool as kids, but Nana used to take the hose and fill up that little inflatable
Mm-hmm.
pool. Barbecues. KB had the little basketball rim that we had wars on. I miss that house so much. I
Same.
drove past the house maybe 3 months ago and
They
showed
changed the
Dana.
roof. It don't like the same house no more.
That's the same thing I said. I'm like, this shit. That almost made me cry. Like, I miss
Yeah.
that house, bro.
Yeah.
I want to go in there and just smell. I don't know. But anyway, y'all was living there, and they had just built a movie theater. And I remember me and you 2 days in a row, because it was the grand opening. We walked all the way to that movie theater
Yeah.
by
Garfield Park.
ourselves,
Yeah.
and we watched movies. Just
Mhm.
like two young ass cousins just going and watching. We was watching crazy. We was not crazy, but it was like grown ass movies. Like
Mhm.
Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis is one of the movies we went to go see. And it was just like, I had never done. I'm still to this day. I've never done anything like that in my life. Like, me and my brothers ain't never go. Like, me and KB was just out. We was in
Yeah.
the fucking streets,
Yeah.
and it was like, go ahead.
No cell phones to keep up with moms and dads. It was just go do something. That's
Yeah.
crazy. But I also just thought of one. It's not one memory, but it's a collection of memories where when we did hang out at your pop's house and we played 2K or college basketball, how detail oriented you were to piss us off. When we create ourselves, Pierre had the right headband, the right arm sleeve, the right colors. Oh, his socks got to be this, he got to be that, you got to wear this number. And the rest of us, we just changed the name and the position, and that was it. And Pierre spent like 20 minutes. We're like, come on, P, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's still who you are to this day. Like, you're still
always
a detail-oriented person. So, yeah.
Hilarious. Those was great days, man. If I could, I would take money and like have us all be in the, like, I remember when you first got an Xbox 360 and we were looking at the graphics like, bro, he got sweat. The jersey is moving off of his body. Like, just crazy shit. That's tough. Incredible name. He said, what was his I made it moment?
My I made it moment. My I made it moment. That is a very good question. Believe it or not, I still feel like it ain't happened. Even though, of course, we've done some amazing stuff, but I don't feel like it. I mean, I think my dad would probably answer the First Take interview. Like, that's huge, being the number one daily sports, whatever the hell they be talking about for 14 straight years. But I don't know, man. Sometimes, at least growing up, when it was like some of my favorite creators followed me on Instagram and stuff, that shit was really dope. It's like, oh snap, I watched his videos for forever. And then maybe my favorite one is when my connection with the Bulls finally happened.
Yeah.
Where they were making tweets to me, and I did the schedule release video that same year. Because how many people get to say that they're working with their favorite team?
That's crazy.
Since then, we've done 2 merch collabs with the Bulls. Like, it's fucking nuts. So that's actually my answer. The Bulls collaborations.
Quick hitters. Really, really quick. Favorite car?
The one I'm currently driving, the X7.
Favorite basketball shoe? Like, basketball shoe, not Jordan, because I know you love to submit for it.
The Way of Wade 5s, bro. I think that's the right one. Way of Wade 5s are so underrated. As far as, like, they don't look good. Trust, they do not look good. No, not the 5s. Maybe it was the 6s.
That's when we used to hoop a lot.
4s?
And you was buying these random ass niche shoes. You came to one hoop session with a Chris Paul Jordan shoe, a Way of Wade. We like, KB, you crazy.
The Way of Wade 7s is the most comfortable hoop shoe I've ever worn in my life, bro. That shoe is amazing. If I could only hoop in one shoe forever, it'll be this one.
Wow.
They don't look good, trust, but they're so
not ugly though.
They're not ugly either. They ain't Kobe's though. You know what I'm saying? But
wow,
these are my favorite. Yeah.
Favorite? No, not favorite. Place you would live outside of Chicago. I don't know if you're ever going to do that, but if you had to, what's the place that we visited that you like? I could see myself there.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
I feel like Atlanta's
the
perfect combination that feels closest to what we have here in Illinois.
That's a great answer. Favorite all-time Bull, non-all-star.
Non-all-stars? Oh, it's Kirk Heinrich. Not even close.
Favorite draft prospect of all time. So remove what they became, but like they were coming into the league and you like, shit.
When I found out that I wasn't him when it comes to draft is when I put all my eggs in the Sekou Doumbouya basket.
Mm,
I
that's a good pull.
if I go back to the other closet, I got a stack this big of Sekou Doumbouya rookie cards. And it's like, damn, yeah. And I've said it publicly. I fucking suck when it comes to draft prospects, and I ain't gonna run away from it.
Favorite Pokemon?
It's Heracross and Scizor. Those are my two favorite. Gen 2 bug types, unfortunately.
Favorite color?
Black.
Favorite football player? Current
Oh,
and of all time?
of all time is Peanut Tillman.
Mm.
Currently, I don't think I have one. I think that's probably like I would want to pick somebody on the Bears, but I'm not connected to anybody on the Bears just yet. So
Yeah.
yeah. This is gonna be the season. We're gonna be good. So it's gonna be hard not to fall in love with a lot of these players. So not nobody currently.
Favorite baseball player currently and all time?
All time it is Tim Anderson. I hate that he fell from grace, but Lord was he's so good for that 2 year stretch. And then currently I'll probably put my cousin through marriage, Alec Thomas, man. He's been playing really well, even though the D-backs aren't having the greatest season, but he's doing his thing.
Favorite non-Chicago sports team?
Non-Chicago sports team. Man, I'm so true to this shit, P, man. I can't even answer that question, bro. I'm not even getting clipped out of context, man. It's all Chicago all the way.
I figured you was gonna say that. Great answer. Last two things before I let you go. This has been a beautiful interview. Thank you for taking the time out. Hour 45 minutes in. We got some non-basketball life stuff. I don't think you've ever done anything this detailed outside of what you do. I want to really finish it up with your dietary restrictions and everything and how they came about for two reasons. A lot of questions asked about it. And secondly, I just went through my own thing with the gallbladder stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so much ignorance, not that anybody is stupid, but just because you just don't know in our families, in our communities, and just in general, that when I did the research on my gallbladder or just gallbladders in general, I was thinking back like, dog, if I had the slightest clue of a gallbladder and what was going on and different things, I wouldn't have been in a situation where they would have had to remove gallstones. It's very simple. And for people that don't know, a gallbladder basically is in place. It's very little in your body. It's very, very little. And it helps the body break down the fatty foods that we all eat in America, right? We're dealing with the obesity crisis because that's what we eat. But when I realized all of the different things outside of just fried food that triggers and irritates your gallbladder that can create gallstones and different things like that, I'm like, damn, bro, like that was not like 98% of my diet. You think about butter, cheese, whole milk, all of these fatty, like ranch. I said it the other day. Somebody was eating Wingstop, and it made me think about what my Wingstop order used to be when I was eating Wingstop a lot. And it's all fat, ranch, double ranch cups, the fries, the wings in itself. And after that, you go get some ice cream with your girlfriend, more fat. Probably would have had eggs in the morning for breakfast, more fat. And we just don't have the knowledge. And so now that I've gone through that, what I want to do to show my appreciation and to thank God is to be able to I'm not here to preach to anybody, eat fried food. You know, you only live once, enjoy yourself. But just throw a little bit out to get people thinking a little bit, because like I said, if I'd have just known a little bit, I probably wouldn't have been in a situation. And I'm glad that I'm blessed enough to be in a situation where it wasn't that big of a deal. It ain't life or death. I wasn't going through anything crazy. But there are times where I think to myself, like, man, I may never eat bacon again in my life.
Yep.
And it's like, and I think about yours, you are on a whole totally different worse level. But a lot of it, we don't know. We just know what you can't get. But I want to go through how you found out, what made you go. No, matter of fact, start with what made you go to find this out.
Yeah. So in the beginning of 2020, I was getting violently sick. Like I would eat and I would just throw up. Like when you were about to throw up, you get a cue to yourself that, oh, I need to get to the garbage can, I need to get to the, it wasn't happening. I was eating and then violently vomiting over and over. And obviously that's not normal. So I remember going to the doctor and they were like, yeah, obviously that's not normal. What you can do is you can keep well, they were ordering tests and stuff on top of this, but what you could do is keep a food journal. Write down what you're eating and write down what happens. If you're throwing up, if you're feeling ill, if you're not, if this is cool, and then you kind of get an understanding of exactly what you're feeling. While they're doing that, they're scheduling me to do an allergy test because it must be something you're allergic to that you're eating right now. Okay, cool. So I'm keeping this journal, and for like they couldn't get me in for like 3 weeks or so to get me to the hospital or to the allergen, which fucking sucks because now I got 3 weeks where I'm about to be sick and I can't eat. And luckily, again, this is like as the world is closing down, so nobody was doing nothing anyway. So I'm just sitting in the house and I'm eating and throwing up, eating and throwing up. And I'm like, that was the catalyst of me losing all of that weight. I don't know if you remember, but I was at one point really, really small. I'm a small guy in general, but like I was even smaller then. And I'm keeping the journal and I'm recognizing some patterns here. And okay, and I didn't want to have like a diagnose myself. So even though I'm recognizing these patterns, I'm still eating the stuff because I want to continue to see that and then wait for the allergen test. Eventually, we take all the testing. We do a skin test. We do a blood test about the allergens. And we find out that, I'm like definitely allergic to tree nuts. Had no idea. I'm a cashew pistachio guy to start off with, but now I have an EpiPen for that one. But we also find out that I'm allergic to dairy, which when I look at my journal, makes sense, right? I'm eating this and it has, even though if it's not a dairy product, it has dairy. It's frozen French toast sticks that has dairy in it. And obviously that's a shock because so many things have dairy. My favorite food of all time is just normal pizza. And now I have to shift my whole life to figure out exactly, what's safe to eat and what's not. And throughout the process of that, because I didn't have any direction afterwards, I developed a form of arthrit where I became restrictive in my diet, where I would find foods that were safe and it would be the only food I ate for a month straight. And now, that was 2020 or 2025. I'm closer to recovery, if you will, compared to then. But it sucks because I would love to have a Snickers bar right now, P. I would love to just have. I wasn't never like a huge deep dish guy, but one slice right now after 5 years would be amazing. So that's really what it was about. And I've said it a few times on the show, but right now I'm the heaviest I've been since then. So I feel like, again, I'm on the road to recovery, and eventually, man, I might get fucking yoked, bro. I might really be in that swole on that podcast set. That's what I'm working towards. But it was one of the reasons I love my wife so much is that she's always there. So through all of this of like the scares, because like if you throwing up every day, you think you're dying. Right. You that's one of them things you're like, oh man, I have something or something. She kept me very grounded and kept my mind with like not thinking about the worst case scenario. And now that I think about it, being allergic to dairy is not the worst case scenario in the world. Because again, I've now adjusted since then. It could have been a lot worse.
Same, bro. I relate to that a bunch. I think I snapped on Austin and Christian because what happened for me was my eyes was yellow. And they come in, Christian taught me, Austin taught me, I'm like, yeah, I might not go to Summer League because I got to go to the doctor and really figure this thing out. Dana saw that my eyes was a little yellow, by the way, a little yellow, to the point where if I didn't say anything, I don't think any of y'all would have noticed, if I'm just being completely honest. And Austin, you talking about kidney failure yellow? I'm like, bro, are you fucking crazy? Why would you say that to me? And then Christian, after he said that, says, yeah, you are looking a little thin. And so I'm like, are you motherfucking crazy?
And then you had to go do a podcast where it's on your mind for
I had to do a podcast and I'm waiting on results and everything. And it's just a brain fuck of like, you don't know what's going on. So yeah, that shit is definitely, you need people. And shout out to Dana because her being a nurse really helped me a lot. But yeah, I was the same way. Once they told me what it was and I was in the hospital, everybody that I was working with in the hospital kept being like, man, I'm so sorry you're here and everything. I was so upbeat. I was like, man, don't be sorry because this could be worse. I'm so glad that this is all it is. They're about to go in here, take these stones out, and I'll be straight. Like some of these rooms next to me, they ain't here just for gallstones. Yeah. Last thing before we truly for real let you go. What's the biggest misconception about you? that you
Um,
sometimes see? And you don't always got to be care to address shit. It's whatever.
mhm,
But sometimes you might see it or you might read it and be like, ain't that some shit? Like I
yeah,
remember one time they
yeah.
was making a big deal, and it did look crazy. It did look crazy for us. But there was one time in the history of Through the Wire, it was where 3 of the 4 people we had white girlfriends. And I remember it was a whole discussion going on. And I just looked back at it. I didn't even realize it. I was like, that's a very big
Yeah,
misconception. I don't care to address this too much,
mhm,
but like Dana's the first white girl I've ever dated, just so y'all know. Like this whole theory of yeah, y'all only like white girls, and then we had cousins. Our cousins were saying shit. I remember
yeah,
I seen our cousins like, can you be pro-black and date somebody outside your race on like Facebook? And I had to like delete what I wrote because I'm like typing like, are y'all fucking crazy? Like y'all are
yeah.
my cousin. You like but like, yeah, something like that where you see, and you may have not even addressed it, but you just like, are they really serious right now?
Yeah, that's a good one though, because that I do remember that time, and that was definitely wild. But, like,
Wild.
I will always say, like, you kinda are a product of your environment in a way, and like we
Mhm.
mentioned, even though our high school, I think it was, like, 20% Black, but we also got another 80%, so, that's a good one. I think that this is on a very smaller scale, when you make content about basketball, people believe that's all you care about, and that's all you wanna talk about. It's like, yes, it's my job, and boy, I'm super passionate about it, but I have other interests.
Yeah.
We ain't always got to talk about the Bulls now. We ain't always got to talk about this. So that's the thing. And that even happens in like family. And I think that's
Ah,
also a combination of like, again, the lack of communication between people. Cause like, yeah, I think you kind of do that, right? So like if my sister does hair for a living. If I went a year without talking to her, I think the first thing I'm gonna ask her is about work. I think
true.
that's just normal nature. Um, but the girlfriend thing is pretty funny because
That was a
I
very
know I know
hilarious.
y'all, and none of us, from my understanding, have like a type, if you will.
Right.
Um, but you do
Very
also
funny.
fall in love with the people you fall in love with.
Yeah. And I have no shame in my game or anything I'm doing.
Same.
It's just funny because you don't think about it. Because like I said, we in our minds, we just the regular guys. We gonna in this interview, you're gonna get back on the game or chill with your daughters. I'm gonna go get on the game or chill with my family, and we just gonna text each other about we fucking they texting right now probably about fantasy football. We're the most regular guys ever. So to like wake up one day and you go on the internet and people have like made this world of who you are
Yeah.
because of who you're dating, and they figure that they just can make like a dating history for you. It's kind of crap. Like, first of all, I didn't know we was that important. Second of all,
Yeah.
y'all are never going to be able to uncover the past dating histories of any of us. Trust.
Too
Um,
parasocial. That's what they are. Too parasocial.
what does parasocial mean?
That's like caring
I see
about
it.
somebody's life that is from the internet.
Uh,
Right. So like, yeah, people be like, oh, he's dated this celebrity has dated this person. So how could he date this person? It's like
right. Yeah.
them people do not care about what you think at all.
Um, that's a wrap. Again, KB, we
No, 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 no,
appreciate
no,
you.
no, no, no.
What?
We gotta get into celebrity crushes, baby. I ain't been
Oh
thinking about
shit,
this forever for
shit,
no reason.
shit! You are absolutely right. Thank you for not letting me get you up out of here without saying that. I would have, bro. I would have fucking. You don't know how many interviews I've ended, and I was like, "Fuck, I didn't ask that." That means that this interview is 10 times better than I anticipated. Top 5 celebrity crushes, because
Yeah.
I was disappointed. Now, again, a lot of us don't have no types. And I'm not disrespecting anybody because I haven't heard a ugly person or anything be named. But Derek threw me a curveball with the Bobby Altoff thing.
Yeah.
Me knowing his dating history, knowing the type of women he like, he do kind of got a type, and they ain't skinny. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said himself he like meat on his butt. That's why he came up there talking about some you doing something.
Yeah.
So come on, KB, come with the goodness.
So
Mike
you want
Michaelis
like
was nice.
all time?
I want whatever is your
Okay.
top fucking 5.
So growing up, she's no longer a celebrity crush, but growing up, my first crush ever was Monique.
Is that what she was talking about yesterday on the couch?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
Mo
Monique.
Monique was my first crush ever, man. Like I think if you ask Crystal would tell you I was so into
How?
Monique
Why?
from watching the Parkers, bro. She
I love the
she
Parkers.
she was on the Parkers. She was so funny, and I'm one of those people. I'm personality driven more than anything. I think when it comes to like relationships. So for her to be one of the queens of comedy and to have a show where it's like like real life have you dead laughing. Like that was the most attractive thing imaginable for me growing up. And then
Shout
Akila,
out to Monique too, because on the Parkers, they kept her and I forget the is it Countless Vaughn? Is
yeah,
that
something like that.
yeah? They kept them, even though at that time, or especially in that time, they were bigger girls for TV because
Mhm.
TV wasn't doing that. They kept them up. Like
Yeah,
Monique's shit was always A1. The outfits, like they were not letting them, not look up to par
yeah.
in any scene. So
I think a
shout
lot of
out to
my
them.
celebrity crushes kind of come from the Parkers too, because Stevie from that show was like the first like white woman that I was like, oh snap, hold
Mhm.
on, she, I don't know what she looked like nowadays, but I'm just saying, growing up, that was it. But then
That's a great point. That's a great
Akila and the Bee came out, and I saw Keke Palmer,
point.
and she was like my age, like
Yes.
she's like our age group, and I'm like, oh my god, bro. So that's like my like lifelong crush is Keke Palmer, even to this day. Like I see Keke Palmer pop up on the timeline, I'm like, she got it, she got it. That's really, really that. And then um I forgot her name. We talked about her before on the show. She was in American Pie. It's like
Yes.
Shannon something.
Oh man.
She
Is it Shannon
also
Elizabeth?
something like that. That sounds about right. Shannon Elizabeth. And then that's 4. Number 5 gotta be Alicia Keys, man. I'm telling you, bro.
The
If you are
braid.
if you are talented, you automatically are a 10 to me. So when she on that keyboard and she got the braids with the bees at the bottom and she's
Mhm.
singing her soul out, you got me. You
You
got
don't
me.
know my name.
Man, so that's my top 5 for sure.
You said something that I think is extremely important. Again, everybody has their own life to live. Do what you want to do. We do not give enough credit to personality. We don't. I'm 30. I'm a very experienced person, thankfully. I've met a lot of attractive women, went on dates with a lot of attractive women. If you don't have a personality, I think it really don't matter.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
and I know people say stuff like that all the time, and it's superficial, whatever. It's the truth. Like you can fantasize all you want about a one night, whatever, but like when you talk about having to date somebody, and we've all are old enough to have been in long committed relationships, you live with your significant other now. You see, you got to bring more to the table than looks. When you
Yes.
have to deal with a person every day, they are on the toilet taking a shit, asking you to bring them toilet paper. This is like, you know what I'm saying? Toothpaste get on a shirt and then they about to come and lay in bed. You're that version of locked in, pushing out a
Mhm.
baby. You know what I mean? Like you got to bring more to the table than a damn look.
Because
You
at
know
the
what I
end of
mean?
the day, we all gonna look like mushrooms and prunes
Exactly.
eventually. So it can't just all be looks. We gotta enjoy each other's company. You gotta make me laugh. I gotta make you laugh. We gotta. So that's always where my hair been at. That's why me and my wife get along so well. Because it's like, if I took this hat off, you'd be like, Kentrell, what the fuck are you doing? Why you ain't got no haircut? But she not here because of the way I look. I'm not with her because of the way she look. Baby, we love each other's company, man. Right? Exactly.
Ain't
We
gotta
gonna.
have no six pack.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really
uh,
what it's about for me.
you talked about embarrassing moments yesterday. That was one of the most embarrassing moments for me when I was getting my procedure surgery thing. My hair was fucked up. I didn't get no haircut because the last thing on my mind when I was going through all that was to get my haircut.
Mhm.
And I remember like the dude knew who we were and was like, "I watch y'all," and I was like,
Yeah.
"My shit
You
fucked up right
you
now."
seeing me
And
right now? Damn.
Dana don't be understanding when I say I need my line done. She be like, "You look
Mm.
fine to me." I be like, when we have a son, you gonna truly understand it because you're not gonna let my son walk out not being lined up." So,
Exactly, exactly.
one last thing too. Come on now. We are 9 days away. You ain't got no idea for a build?
Nope.
Okay.
I ain't even think about watching the trailer that dropped today. Didn't even think about it.
I haven't watched it either, but
Okay.
the trailer don't mean shit.
It don't mean nothing.
We're
Yeah,
not
you're right.
13.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for watching. We have been on an incredible streak. That is the conclusion of the Numbers on the Boards cast, giving y'all their stories and answering questions, giving just different insight. Shout out to KB. I think this is one of the better ones. You don't do these often, so I tried to be a man of the people, get y'all questions in there. Take something from here. I think we addressed a lot of things: financial advice, family dynamics, relationships. We laughed, health. There's a lot that you can take from this and learn and apply to your life. So please do that. KB, we appreciate your time. As always, from me, from KB, from the Enjoy B-Ball family, we out. Peace.